Welcome back to the Stebbins Garage YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm working on the fuel system. We're gonna go ahead and install an Aeromotive fuel pump. We're gonna coat the tank, and I got some other valve train upgrades we're working on, so stay tuned. Next up, I'm gonna work on this gas tank. I've already pulled the fuel sending unit out and I've made sure I got all the gas out of it. I actually, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw my setup to power the pump, get all that out. So we're gonna clean this up. I've got some gray Pour 15. I'm gonna go ahead and do the top side first, and then we'll do the bottom side after that dries another day. But I wanna go ahead and get this cleaned up and protect it. You can see there's some surface rust, and we don't want that to turn into anything worse. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out. Then we'll be ready to put my Aeromotive billet fuel hat in there with the pump. That'll be awesome. Here's one final look at this. I just cleaned it up. There's still some rusty spots. That Pour 15 will go right over that. My plan is to tape along this edge so we don't get any drips. And then probably tomorrow I'll flip it over and do the other side. It's not really possible to do both sides at once. All right, let's do it. First coat of the gray Pour 15 is on. This is self-leveling, so any imperfections or anything will pretty much go away, at least to the point that I care about. That looks, wow, you saw the before where it was rusty and stuff. It'll dry pretty much this color and it'll be glossy. And then the big thing is I don't have to worry about it rusting any further. Yeah, that's good. So I'm gonna look at the recoat window and see when I can put one more coat on, just to fill in any of the streaks or whatever, if there are any. And then I'll do that. And then tomorrow I'll come back and probably flip it up. Probably just flip it up on its end and do the other side, and we'll be good. All right, so this dried overnight and it turned out pretty well. There's a couple runs here and here, and that's completely my fault. When I did the second coat, I should have just left the one coat on there. I was trying to save some of the material because I need to do the other side. And so I didn't put enough on there so it couldn't flow. No big deal. This is the side that you actually see from the bottom. So what we're gonna do is make this super nice and shiny, and I'm just gonna go around, clean all this up. You can see there's some rust and stuff. We're just gonna get all the scaly rust off, and then I'm gonna go ahead and coat this. I think I'm just gonna do one nice coat and call it good. I think that'll look the best. We're cleaned up. I know it still looks a little dirty, but I got all the scaly rust off, and that's what we're gonna do. So let's go ahead and put the coating on. Coat is on. This is going to be the side that you see if you're under the car, like, you know, when I'm working on it because it's broke down. So the rear end will be sitting here, so this will be kind of the part that hangs lower. I think that'll look really good. We're going to just let that flow out. The one coat is going to be sufficient. I don't feel like doing another one. I learned on the top side that I'm not good at the second coat, so we're going to just go with the first coat and call it good. It looks 100 million times better than what was there. Here's our gas tank. It's ready to go in the Firebird whenever we get the fuel pump installed, which I'm going to do next. I did want to show you kind of the results of what I messed up on with the Pour 15. It turned out fine other than where I tried to do some recoating and it has some kind of weird haze. Not going to matter because this is not seen. The other side turned out pretty well. It's got a little bit of, I don't know, fish eyeing. It'll be fine. I did clean out the rest of the tank. You can see it's super clean. I put some absorbent mats in here and got the rest of the gas out and got all the little particles. There wasn't a whole lot there. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this Aeromotive billet fuel hat pump assembly. This thing has been sitting here in my shop for literal months, probably 7 or 8 months. I got it from Summit. It comes with an integrated fuel level sending unit and a pump. I think this is the 340. It's their Stealth series. And then we can use, you know, we've got a vent line and then we've got the outlet and the return. So we'll be running AN fittings all the way up to the engine when it goes in. That engine there that we're working on. And then this is my vent I'm going to use. This is a rollover vent. I got this from Amazon, I think. And then we've got our retainer and a new seal for that. So we'll be putting some kind of grease of some kind on there just to help lube that a little bit. Let's go ahead and put this in. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna put some grease on here to make this go in a little easier, and this is just some silicone grease. So we're gonna put a little bit of that on this ring. I know what you're thinking, don't say it. All right, we're gonna just stick that right there. That's really straightforward. Gonna grab that and the ring and we'll put that on. Okay, we're just gonna feed this sending unit through first, just like that. And this is the return hose. We're gonna fit that through as well. This actually goes in way easier than the stalker. Okay, so we're just going to make sure that it seats in the basket in there. It has a basket to keep the fuel from sloshing. And so that's going to sit about like that. And then our retainer goes on. So we may have to raise this up a little bit. It slides in just like this. And then that retainer goes here. And then essentially you just push it down and rotate it, and then these lock into place. So we're going to do that with this special tool here. One final piece is to put this level ground strap on. This is for the fuel sending unit, and they tell you in the instructions to use this wire that they've provided. And then I'm just going to tighten this with a ratchet so I don't mess up the threads. It's time to pull this balancer. I have a tool over there. We need to get the bolt out. I don't know that my Milwaukee is going to do it. Let's see. Ah! I should probably play the Dumb Ways to Die song, but I got it. Okay. We have a new bolt, so I'm not terribly worried about that. Now I just need to use this other tool thing. See if we can pull this. I'm assembling this tool. All right, I'm gonna start this with just a regular ratchet. See where it goes. I'm watching, it's pulling. I'm watching the bolt so I don't bottom the bolt out. Here we go. All right, I didn't mess anything up. I used this socket, or this socket extension, and then I put the thing on the end of that, and I know there's other ways to do it. I was real careful. It threads all the way in. There doesn't appear to be any issues with the bolt going in. I just did it with my ratchet. I didn't even use an impact or anything, so we're good. We got that off. Success. I have a set of LS7 lifters that came with my care package from VTR. They are going to go in RLS, obviously. They come with some kind of a packing grease, and we need to clean them. Before we do that, so we're going to use some mineral spirits. We're just going to kind of put a bath in here, and there's a total of 16, so I'm going to do that, kind of use a little bit of a brush and clean that. Then we're going to put them in some oil, and that oil will keep them lubricated and ready to go in the engine once we're ready. Next up, the throttle body from the engine that came with it. We're going to use that. You can see it's crusty. I mean, it works fine as far as movement, but it's all crusty. We're going to clean this thing up, and I'm actually going to paint that so that it looks nice. First, I'm going to use throttle body cleaner, and we're just going to soak it down. And then I'm going to let it sit. So just going to let it sit, and then we'll take a stiffer bristle brush and clean the blade and all that stuff. Okay, next up, my nutty bar. We're going to do the trunnions. So this is the rocker shaft. They go on the valvetrain. Let's see if I can get. All right. So next up, we're going to do a trunnion install. So this is a stock rocker off the car or the engine, and you can see that shaft only moves that much. And when you start to get into high lift situation with adding a cam, those can break, and then these little needle bearings go flying all through your engine. And I know this because it happened on my Firehawk. So this is actually the old pieces from the Firehawk, and this is what they usually look like if they're not all gummed up. Anyway, we're gonna press that out, put the new stuff in, and I've got a tool here, and so we're going to go ahead and take care of that. We've got parts from Brian Tooley. Got a whole kit here. Comes with new trunnions, new bearings, snap rings, and I actually have some snap ring pliers, so we'll make it really easy. And we're just going to use my cheap Harbor Freight vise to do it all. Okay, next up I'm doing this trunnion bearing upgrade. Essentially we're replacing the guts of the rocker, which is this. Ordinarily there's a needle bearing that goes in here. You saw us take that apart. We got these all cleaned up and everything. So what we're going to do now is press in a bearing on either side along with this trunnion here, and it uses snap rings to hold everything together. The advantage of this is these don't come apart and send bearings through your engine like the stockers do. So this is a really simple upgrade. You need not really a lot of specialized equipment. I'm just using a Harbor Freight vise. But we'll go ahead. I already did half of them yesterday. I just had some time and did them. So now I'm going to do the other half, and you can watch. Alright, so I just upgraded one side. I pressed a bearing in. Now what we'll do is we'll take these trunnions, which looks like this, and that goes in from one side. There's a little bearing cap, I guess, or something inside. So we'll pop that little plastic thing out. Alright, so that'll go like that. Now we've got to put the bearing on this side. The only real hard, not even hard part, you got to make sure that when you put this bearing in, it's probably hard to see on camera, but there's no opening where that bearing surface is. You can see there's a little gap around that. So you want the side with the letters and numbers on it to face out on both sides. As long as you can remember that, it's really not rocket science, to be honest. All you do is get it started here. They give you some washers to take up some of the slack too. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a washer on one side and press that sucker through. Then we're going to come over here and we're going to get this thing started. You just want to press this bearing in straight, and then once it starts to go on, you're going to take this other washer and that'll allow the trunnion to pass through. As long as you pretty much line that up, you'll see it just presses right on. All right, so we've got it on both sides now. Looks just like that. All that's missing is a snap ring, and the snap ring is super easy to put on if you have snap ring pliers. If you don't, buy a set. They're not expensive. They make this job so much easier. So I'm going to sit this right here. I'm going to take these snap ring pliers, and essentially all you do is you open that up to where it'll pop on. Sometimes it doesn't pop all the way on. I just take this washer and press on it. Sometimes you got to fiddle with it a little bit, but just spread that out a little bit. So it just goes like that. We'll do the other side, and then have 7 more to go. This is a stock rocker, and you can see the difference. See that flat part there? This rocker actually stops moving after a certain point. And when you put a cam in here, that cam likes to lift the rocker higher than what it's rated for. And that will send needle bearings everywhere when these come apart. Trust me, I've had it happen. So that's what you want to do. And just like that, all 8 of our rockers are upgraded. So we should not have any issues with the trunnion bearings falling apart and sending needle bearings throughout the engine. Again, this was a Brian Tooley part, TK001NB. That's the trunnion upgrade. I also have a Comp Cam's trunnion install tool, but Brian Tooley sells one as well. This isn't sponsored or anything, but they are kind of a local company to me, so I really like their products. So those are ready to go on the engine. It's currently sitting over there waiting for the heads, and should have those in another maybe video or 2, depending on how busy my buddy is. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We got a lot accomplished. I've got some other parts that should be coming in the next week. The heads will be back and they're getting ported. I've got a transmission. I've got a ton of stuff sitting here. Hope you'll stick around for the next one. Thanks for watching.